अच्छा ये हो जाएगी तो ये वाइब्रेशन ना होले
Good evening, all of you.
Syamoshree. Good evening, Syamoshree and Noel. Good evening. So nice to see you all here.
Hi, good evening, good evening.
And Paramjit ma'am is here, I suppose. She'll start. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
We're delighted and so honored to have two of you here. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for asking us to. It's an honor for us as well.
Yeah. So another minute and then we start.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Good evening, Paranjit ma'am. Good evening, Swani ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Hearing you after a long time. So nice to hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for arranging the videos.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, sir. Yeah. Syamoshree and Noel, I would like to tell you, Parad sir, we have been working together for, I guess, 3 years now, since the COVID times. We have been into many projects together. I'm sorry about not being on camera because I have a class running actually. So that's the reason. I'm very sorry about it, but I'll surely be here and many of my parents will be joining too. So.
Myself also, I'm back to home from school. Sorry, not to switch on the camera. I'm driving.
Can I 23 at present? Okay. More might join in. If we can give another minute or two, maybe 5 minutes more.
Yeah.
Charu, 6:05 we start. Okay.
Good evening, Paranjit ma'am. Good evening.
Hi, Ayappa sir. Hi,
good evening,
Nirmala
ma'am.
Happy to see you.
Hi.
Hi, Kalyani.
Hi,
Nice
Nirmala
meeting you, ma'am. Ayappa sir, Charu ma'am.
Yes.
So nice to see you all again.
Yes, it was a long break in between.
Yes, ma'am.
I really wish I didn't have this class. I so much wanted to be fully here. I just.
Oh, Swati ma'am, nice meeting you again.
Same here, ma'am.
Paranjit ma'am, my school
Hi,
children
Kalyani
asking,
ma'am.
when will we have this session again?
Nice meeting you.
Hi, Kalyani.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Usha ji. See?
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Hi. Nice.
Oh, this naughty class. Ayappa sir, you were saying something, but somehow I missed it.
Hello.
Actually, my school children, they are looking forward this program. Actually, they want to interact with the counselors. So suddenly we change it to parent and educators now. So they miss a lot, and they want to convey. Why can't we, have one more session for the children?
We would be having. We'll be having. Don't worry. So we thought that let's have our experts now, and then we'll have the ultimately everybody presenting. That would be the final summing it up. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Taru, start sharing the screen, dear. No, it's 6:03. 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go. Let people join.
And we
are now 95.
You are the one who's taught us to be time bound, ma'am. I mean, like 6'5" means 6'5". Like we know that.
Hi, Krishnan, but this is for parents only. This is for parents and teachers. Son, go out and play. He's a wonderful member of our group who contributes a lot in all activities. He's, I think, in class 1. Krishnan, which class are you in? Chalo, he's muted. It's okay. Okay. So tell your mom to join in. His mother is a teacher. Second day. Okay, Kishan, so now you should go out and play because this session is not for children, my son. Okay, it'll be nice if your mother joins in. Okay? Chalo. All right. So Sharda, everybody, we need to be on our toes because This is team, so nobody should go out and nobody should be muted unnecessarily.
Yes, ma'am.
So good evening, good morning to educators who are there in India and abroad. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to have all of you on board today. We are meeting for the first time in this new year, 2023. I take this privilege and honor to wish all of you a very happy new year. May this new year bring lots of fun, laughter, happiness in the lives of children and educators and their families. So we begin now. The purpose was the name of our, that means those who joined for the first time, because it was an open invite. It's Road to Recovery International Research Project, and we are contributing to the United Nations 2030 agenda when it comes to SDGs. Yes, please. Road to Recovery was initiated in April 2022. 7 monthly meetings we had during this particular time. It's a research project, and we have 1,400 students, 1,514 students, 1,422 parents, 301 educators, and they're from 12 countries. The standard, which the IST standards, is global collaborator, where all of us are collaborating globally. Now, in this project, we're using AI to bridge the learning and the behavior gap of students post-COVID-19. And this is Road to Recovery. And what approach did we follow? We have very, very important guests today. So all this is for them, and I'll be introducing them soon. So the approach was research, and then a survey was done. And then a global shout out using social media. Please join us, those who would like to join. And the result is that we had a good large number of educators and students joining us. It's collaboration and deliberation to use AI for building the learning and the behavior gaps. We're using plenty of technology, and all technology have AI, artificial intelligence. Yes, please.
Just a minute, ma'am. My laptop, this battery was down.
No, not to worry, not to worry.
Okay.
All this goes on.
I was
maybe
using the mobile. Now the screen is all locked. Just a second.
Okay. So anyway, I have my mobile, so I'll read from there now. Let's see how I go about. So activities of the Road to Recovery. They were on, we had the first meeting, the podcast was there where we wanted to give students a voice. So we had this on 23rd April 2022. Then the next meeting was July, keeping the vacation, summer vacations in mind. And then the theme of this was Strive to Win and Thrive. And then after the vacation, we met on 24th September, Build Back Better, Reduce Inequalities we talked about. And then it was solar energy to build back better for Road to Recovery. That was on 27th December. In between, I should have gone up and down. So after 23rd of April, it was 28th May 2022. It was just Build Back Better. 2nd July, it was Strive to Win and Thrive. Right. And then on 6th August, we had Work Together, Build a Better World. On 24th September, our theme was Build Back Better, Reduce Inequalities. And then in November, it was to build back better for Road to Recovery. And then lastly, on last meeting we had on 27 December, it was solar energy to build back. To look into it, I'm being muted off and on, so please look into it. I don't know. So we had this 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings in this year, and the details are there on the screen. For every meeting, we had a theme, We had the structured activities which were going on, and the students have been contributing. We have the e-newsletters being published for everybody. We shared their work, and we have Flipgrid, we had Wakelet, all these technology tools were being used for this. And the most important announcement of the day, we have a special guest. Let me introduce them one by one. So welcome, dear Ms.NoelDatta, a dance movement psychotherapist and a psychologist with 5 years of experience. Have worked with children, adolescents, older people, and Parkinson's patients. An honorary teacher at the Institute of Neuroscience, Kolkata. A member of Debut, an initiative to well-being focused on empowering individuals through dance movement, psychotherapy, and other alternative therapies. A dance teacher at Hamari Muskan and a DMP practitioner at SWAYAM, Ending Violence Against Women. A repertory dancer with Manipuri Natikala, Kolkata. Thank you so much, Noel, for being here. One, you need to unmute. Second is, we also use dance in plenty of ways during this road to recovery, where the children danced and they prepared the video and they shared it. All those are also put into our newsletter. The links are put up, and we have seen each other dancing. The second eminent guest today is Ms.Syamoshree Mukherjee. I hope I'm pronouncing all the names correctly. Psychology teacher and counselor. She has been associated with counseling for the last 15 years, 15. Worked with children, adolescents, and adults. Holds an experience of working with differently abled children. Conducted workshops for school children and parents in and outside Kolkata. Ma'am, we are honored, we are blessed. Such wonderful guest we have today. And I'm sure you can start. It's over to you. And I'm sure we'll be having some questions. But before that, over to you. We've just given you the idea how we went about Road to Recovery. It's yours now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I just want to be mindful about something. We are being muted on and off. So in case that happens, I want one of you to tell me immediately so that I don't go on and on. And
yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Even I, Sharda, on the job, darling. Keep watching.
Yes, ma'am.
You're
I'm
muted
doing
again,
it.
dear.
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing it.
Okay, thank you, sweetheart.
We would request all the participants to mute themselves so that only our voices can be heard, or else there can be interferences. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting us and for that little introduction. Before we start off, since we are talking about the pandemic, we thought of doing a little movement warm-up, because if we take the pandemic into consideration, the one thing that we could not do is move, literally and metaphorically. Everything was stopped. So because we are meeting, at least we both are meeting all of you for the first time, let's just move together, let's ground ourselves for the webinar, and let's see how it goes. So I hope my voice is clear. I will request you to make sure that I'm not muted, because then it'll be a hindrance in the warm-up. Y'all can just relax in your chair. If it's required, you can close your eyes as well. If you need to move in front of the chair to keep your feet on the ground, you can do so.
Charu, look into it. Spotlight, please. I hope the connection at their end is okay. Yes. They've joined in again.
Are we back?
Yes, you're back. Somebody is being very naughty. That's why sometimes we go on WebEx.
Okay. Let's see how long we can continue this. Then we'll move on to the webinar part of it. I would request all of you to feel your feet on the ground and perhaps place both your hands on your thighs and just breathe. See how your breath feels. Notice how your feet is placed on the ground. Perhaps you need to adjust your seating arrangement. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. And if there are thoughts running in our mind, can we silence them for a while? Continue with your breathing. And now expand your breathing. When you're breathing in, hold it for 2 seconds. And breathe out.
You're on mute.
Notice which parts of your body requires attention. If there's any pain sensation, maybe perhaps give it a little massage. Notice how your body transformed since you joined the meeting. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. Rub your hands, warm them up a little. And place them on your face. I can already see Paramjit ma'am doing it. And just wake up with that warmth you've just created for yourself. So thank you everyone for doing this with me. I cannot see all of you, but I hope it will help us to move into the webinar. We know about a number of problems that we faced over time during the pandemic. There were a number of problems during the pandemic, and there were a number of problems after the pandemic. And we already know about it, but I think it's once again important to go over them, because maybe perhaps if we reflect on them and rethink, we can deal with the solutions differently maybe. So I'm going to hand over it to Syamoshree ma'am now, and she's going to take it from here, and I'm going to come back later.
Good evening, all of you. I'm sure you all are charged up after that exercise. All of you just think in your mind a particular word, a feeling word that you are feeling at the moment. Any word, you do not have to tell us, just keep it with you. And let's see if that particular feeling changes over the course of the webinar. So think it over. I'll give you 30 seconds to do so, and then we'll move on.
Write down like the first word that comes to your mind, something that comes to your mind spontaneously. and just keep it aside.
Okay. So I'm sure all the participants here have gathered today with certain expectations, certain questions in mind. So we'll quickly move on to that. But
Ma'am, you are muted.
yes, thank you.
Unmuted. Yeah.
I'll just repeat what we all have been facing post-pandemic as teachers, as parents, as educationists. I'll just repeat them. We have seen the attention span of children going down. Their tolerance level has reached its all-time low. In classrooms, we have found children all over the place. That means they've forgotten their basic disciplines, their courtesies. They have forgotten to share, help each other. And it's become a challenge, a serious challenge for both parents and teachers to make them sit in one place, forget anything else. So they have become restless and their patience are lacking. So, and let's not forget that they are addicted to the screen. We all know this. Before we go on to certain solutions, I would like to invite questions from all of you. Let Paramjit ma'am moderate them.
I think you're on mute, ma'am.
I actually muted myself. So who would be the first one to ask the question, the lucky person around there? So can we have Ayappa sir, would you like to shoot a question as such?
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for this privilege. Good evening, the DO's psychologist. Happy to see you here. So I need a small suggestion to improve the listening. Now we are always after this pandemic, really we are the children are struggling to listen the class teachers because that's the first thing. So can you suggest few tips and few things for the teachers as well as the educators?
If I couldn't hear you very clearly, but as far as I could make out, you were asking that children are not listening. Is that so?
Yes.
Okay. You are talking of which age group? Could you just specify?
Especially
the adolescent group
adults.
Maybe teenagers.
Okay. So if you think of the pandemic situation, children, teenagers, they have seen a lot that they were not supposed to see. They have gone through a lot that they were not supposed to go through. During this period, they have seen losses. They have seen parents fighting with each other that they perhaps had not seen earlier, conflicts at home, pay cuts, and they had adapted to all of them. Good, bad, but they did adapt. It wasn't easy for them. So now that they have gone back to school, they've come back to school, you would find many children, actually, they did not want to go back to school. I have heard of children saying that I don't want to go back to school because I don't have friends. Or will friends accept me? These were questions in their minds. It's my question to all teachers and educationists there. Have we given the time to listen to them? Or have we started with our schedule, our curriculum from day one? I think we should all reflect on this. If we should give that time, sometimes just out of the curriculum, so that we are able to hear them speak. I'm sure many children have a lot to say, but we don't have that time. We don't give that time. If we could do so, perhaps at least once a week in our periods, I'm sure children would listen. So you could try it out and see.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe lend your ears is the best policy, and we need to lend our ears and listen to our children who might have so much to share. Thank you. So there are three participants who have raised their hands. I'll be going as per the sequence. We have Krishna Mahipal. Now I believe the mother is there. Please unmute yourself and put up your question to the honorable guests.
Good evening, respected teachers and respected doctor. I have a patience issue because kids have lost patience. They don't have patience. Abhi chahiye right now. So I have two kids. One is 7 years old and one is 4 years old. So they don't have patience. They've lost, and they think they take things for granted. Ki abhi mama kar degi. Abhi ho jayega. That is the issue, and they are in a hurry always. Ki mujhe abhi finish karna kaam. He is in so much hurry. I mean, first time jaldi se kar dena kaam. That is the issue. Sometimes they make mistakes by hurrying up so much, and the patience issue is also there. They've lost.
We can both jump in for this question. Thank you so much, Krishnan, for asking this question. The first thought that came to my mind was that were they patient for 2 whole years? And yes, they were 2 whole years. And I think it's still very, the wound of the pandemic is still very raw. There are still clients and people around us who are getting affected by COVID and other similar concerns. My point is, we have to give them the time. They are children at the end of the day.
I give them whole time, ma'am. They play with me, they eat with me. They are connected to me so much that I can't even leave them in a room also. Ki mama kahan hai? Mama kahan hai?
Ma'am, that they are not patient, can you just tell us what do they want to do after that? What is it? You said they want to finish it in a hurry.
Yes, the things they want. Ki abhi my hands are dirty, and I just tell them ki wait for a few minutes. I'll wash my hands and I'll give the thing to you, mama. Abhi.
Just for an example, since they are 4 years and 7 years, as you said, if that's an example, ki washing hands, why can't they do it on their own?
No. I tell them ki I'll give you the thing. I'll give you the thing after washing my hands. My hands are dirty. I'm working in the kitchen. Or I'm working on the laptop. Just let me finish 2-3 lines and I'll get back to you. They don't listen.
But when they don't listen, what do you do?
I say ki just wait and just I have to go with them. Just hurrying up and
yes. That is what I was wanting to know. That is, you go with them. So ultimately, they know that whatever mama says, ultimately she'll do what we want her to do, isn't it? Try it the other way. If you don't go with them, what would they do? What would they do? Would they create a lot of tantrums?
Yes.
Are we embarrassed about the tantrums?
I get irritated. Not embarrassed. I get irritated.
So, ma'am, please don't take it otherwise. But don't you think the problem lies with us adults? It's the irritation we are bothered about, not their patience. Isn't it?
I have to be more tolerant then.
No, ma'am. You sometimes need to perhaps ignore. Sometimes you need to show them that your work is prioritized as well. Because they are understanding somewhere that they are the ones who are only prioritized. But if you make them realize that your work is equally important, they will also understand. Let's not be bothered. Let's not be irritated about their tantrums. They are children. They would throw tantrums.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
I think you're again on mute, ma'am.
Yes. The habit of muting yourself. So now the next participant who's there in line is Richa. Richa, can you please unmute yourself and put up your question?
Yes, ma'am, please. Good evening, distinguished guests and all the lovely educators. Um, I'm working as a school counselor in KNPS, Kamala Nehru Public School. So my question to you is, ma'am, see, I'm dealing a lot of cases like aggression cases and just intolerant cases. So please suggest if the adolescent child is becoming aggressive again and again, then how to handle that situation? Like, and due to aggressiveness, the child is doing bully activities also, becoming violent also sometimes, and repeating that thing again and again. So how to handle such case, ma'am?
Thank you for the question, firstly. We are seeing this a lot, especially after the pandemic. My question to you is, how do you feel when you see this?
Yeah, it's not good. I feel I've done one-to-one counseling also. I've gone into the case study also why the child is doing repetitively the same aggressive things, and maybe due to his family, and but indulging, it's not the same group like so many other students. They're getting violent these days, ma'am. So
Yeah. My
that has
question
been
to you is,
increased.
how does that make you feel?
Obviously not good, ma'am. Not good from the
Could
heart.
you
Like
could
it's
you
very
elaborate a little
depressing.
on that? Not good and
Yeah, it's very it's not it's disheartening sometimes, also, and uh, not feeling good for the child also. Why the child is indulging in all these activities, and maybe feeling uh, sometimes feeling pity for that child also. Maybe after doing so many counselings also, the child has been indulged in all these activities. So not
yeah.
understanding, actually, not understanding.
So
Becoming
one thing.
stubborn actually these days.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer because it'll help me to go ahead with what I have thought of. It's that I've learned this the hard way. Whenever I deal with a child and they throw tantrums or they get violent or they get aggressive, this is the hallmark truth of human relationships and how they interact with one another. Children will always set you up to feel what they feel. So, for example, if a child is throwing tantrums, the mother is feeling powerless, the mother is feeling embarrassed. The child is doing it consciously or unconsciously, it doesn't matter. The child is doing it is because the child is going through the same thing. And it's their way of letting you know. So, when we are seeing some sort of an violent or aggressive behavior, let's notice how we feel about it. Because that's exactly what they are feeling. And if we approach the solution based on that emotion specifically, the child is doing it because the child is wanting to let you know that this is how they feel. So, as you said, you feel pity for the child. You're being empathetic. You're placing yourself in the child's shoe, which is the right thing to do. But that's the first way to go. Would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. At that time, when we are doing the counseling of the child, that time child is understanding that he or she has done wrong thing, but after some time, again they are repeating, again they're indulging themselves into the same activity.
Ma'am, first is we need to, as you said, that you often go through the case history and stuff. Often there might be some case history back at home. As she tried telling you that maybe the child feels powerless there. Maybe the child is not able to put his own viewpoints at home. So he is targeting somebody weaker in school or elsewhere, where he feels more powerful. That can be a reason. So then perhaps you need to talk to the parents. You need to talk to their parents as to how they are dealing with the child at home. That's one step to go. Sometimes, especially these teenage group, you will often find that they're doing it because that makes them feel cool. It's the way It's actually shown in the media. If you go through the movies and stuff that are coming up all these days, the web series,
Superhero
yes,
films.
the concept of macho boys, they have to be violent, they have to be rude, they are aggressive. So somewhere perhaps they are imitating that without even understanding. But as elders, we need to tell them, we need to make them understand that that's not how you are liked. So try to find out a weakness of the child, if that's possible. A weakness, as in there'll be, I'm sure there'll be certain weaknesses. So if you can find out that weakness and put that forward, that see, you're doing this, but not everyone will like you the way you are behaving. This particular girlfriend of yours will not like you if you are behaving in this manner. So we can always be friends to them and understand from their perspective why they are doing it. Then perhaps, ma'am, it will be easier for you to deal.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And we had two people raising their hand, but they pulled down. One was Pratap, Ms.Syamoshree Pratap. That's what I remember. Would you like to unmute yourself? And there was some Ms. Sudha also, something, but now nobody has raised their hand. If somebody is there who would like to question, because twice or thrice you raised your hand and then it was down. So I don't see it. So anyway, I request you that we can put the question and we can cut it short also and let our counselors speak. Yes?
Ma'am, I wanted to
Sudha.
ask one.
Yes, Sudha Rajmohan. Yes, now I see your hand.
Actually, the name should be Seema Sen. By mistake, maybe it was showing Seema. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll not be able to put my video on since I'm traveling. So if it's okay, I can just ask the question like this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, so I just wanted to ask you that of late I've seen after the pandemic, there are quite a few children who are showing a lot of, delay in their speech. So statistically, is that something which has been found? And, as a school, we thought that this could be because children have not got opportunity to interact with peers. And that is, and I'm talking about very young children, just at the beginner level. So speech delay, has it been a concern? Has it been across also? Is something that I just wanted to ratify for myself.
Ma'am, as you rightly pointed it out, that children have not been able to mix up with their peer group. That's a very correct reason for them not speaking at the right time. Another thing that is of concern to all of us is screen time. Often these children are so glued. Actually, it's not the children, it's the parents. It's we who give them that phone or that laptop just to make it easier for ourselves. Often you will find children even eating when there's a cartoon or something going on. So the parents do not have that time to interact with the child. So parents at home, back home, school can do a lot. I totally agree with that. But again, school has its own limitations. Parents have to take that initiative to talk to the child, read out stories, talk to them. And sometimes there are children who are very intelligent and they will communicate everything through their gestures and nonverbal ways. It's a request to those parents not to understand. Am I? Suppose this is a bot.
So as a school, as a school, that's what we also. As a school, that's what we also did do. We tried speaking to parents, and we have in most cases it has worked successfully over a period of time, but in certain cases, the delay has actually pulled the child back. And, I mean, any tips that you would suggest as to how teachers could help in bringing these children better into the classroom?
I know it's a big problem, and we are seeing kids today with screen dependency disorders, and it's really scary. What I could suggest is that because you're talking from a teacher's perspective and you run and you're part of an organization, perhaps we could think of introducing music and rhymes for language development.
Right.
I know books and textbooks can do the same, but when it comes to music and rhymes, there's a little bit of playfulness and creativity and imagination involved. So subtly and unconsciously, the child is getting benefited and the child is enjoying it at the same time. So we are like giving them the pill with a little bit of chocolate inside it. I know a lot has to be done to undo the changes and to undo the damages that has been caused by increased amount of screen time. But I believe that music, perhaps getting into an organization, for example, like a dance school or a music school, can really help, because there the child will be compelled to interact with one another. Their interpersonal ability to talk with all kinds of people will grow. Initially, they will have problems. They will get frustrated that they're not being able to communicate, but eventually they will break through that barrier. And you're perhaps going towards art for just language development, but eventually you will see that they are getting motivated, their attention and concentration is increasing, their interpersonal ability has changed, they are more expressive than before. And yeah, that's about it, because we only look at the problem, but the thing is that the problem is so severe and intense, the solution also takes a little while to reach its final destination.
Right. So thank you so much, Shyam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sudha, for putting this question. Which school are you representing, please?
Sapphire.
Okay, thank you so much. So now I move on to Seema, and then it will be Satyendra Kaur Rai. And Nirmala, are you there? Could you please moderate for the next two members, please? Nirmala, can you please do that?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
So over to Nirmala, please. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We have heard from our counselors. So any more questions, the educators? Yes,
there are two more. There are two more, yeah. Seema.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Ma'am, actually, it's not a question, it's a request to help me out, because I'm very much worried or anxious about my daughter's study and her future. And at the same time, I feel guilty also that I'm putting maybe subconsciously some pressure on her, which I don't want. But at the same time, I can't help myself to get over this. And I always think that there is something lacking which I'm not able to give her, so that she can perform much better, maybe if I can do something else also, or maybe what to say, it's my anxiety which I'm putting on her. By knowing this also, I cannot control this feeling, and I don't find any way out. That's why I need a help from your end and some suggestions if you can.
Ma'am, why are you anxious? What are you anxious about? And how old is your daughter?
About her studies, about her future. Like these days, competitions are too high. People are getting 98 point something. Then also they're like not ranked in a good, what to say, there is no good rank. And in some good colleges, schools, they need that higher marks to get into some subjects which maybe she like to study in future. So all these things keep me haunting actually every day, every time, that she can do it on, should I do something else, what how can I help her? All these things keep on
don't you think she's studying enough?
She is, but still I feel that maybe something she's getting 94%, but if if 98% is a benchmark, then where she'll stand.
Ma'am, if 100% is the cutout, then?
No, not that. Like last in first.
No, I'm saying in some colleges, 100% is the cutoff.
Yeah, then so it's no chance.
So would you be expecting 100% from the child?
No, not like that. She's in 8th only, but now this first term result was poor. She got only 85%.
Have you asked her why?
She's dropped, slipping away something. Like I asked her. She's actually, before asking only, she was crying and all, so I could not bother her anymore.
Is she crying because her results are bad, or is she crying that she could not satisfy what you are wanting?
I am also worried about the same thing. Like she's worried about her studies, or she's worried that I am worried. So that she could not answer me. I say it is okay. We always should try to do better.
It would be nice, actually, since this is a open platform, I cannot ask you certain questions that I am supposed to, and thereby I cannot answer your problem. So it would be nice if you could actually visit an expert, visit a professional, because somewhere I feel that you are stressing yourself too much for something that perhaps there is no solution to it, because there's no end to asking more, isn't it? But we'll have to take into consideration the capability of the child, what the child wants, and whether the child is sincere or not. If the child is doing everything perfectly fine, then there's nothing that should bother us, isn't it? And yes, I totally agree with you that nowadays cutoffs are high, marks are a very big factor. But again, a lot of opportunities have also been created with private colleges coming up, with private universities coming up, with different streams that we couldn't even imagine a few years back, isn't it? So there are a lot of opportunities that has been created. Just imagine another resource person with me, Ms.NoelDatta, she's a dance movement therapist. Could we think of something like this 10 years back? Perhaps we couldn't. So there are so many opportunities that have come up. So I don't think you should bother so much. You should overthink yourself, overstress yourself. But in spite of that, if something like this is happening, I think you should visit a professional.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Seema ma'am, for asking that question. So I'm sure it will be helpful for other parents also. Because as parents, we are so worried about students, our children's achievements. So do I. I also sometimes worried about my children's achievements. And I think that anxiety can kill us. As a mother, sometimes over worrying is not good as well. Thank you so much to our counselors for giving many options, not only to Seema ma'am, but for other parents as well. So do we have any more questions?
Actually, you can just see the hand raise, we have Satinder Kaur Rai now.
We have someone, ma'am. Sudha, is it?
Satinder Kaur Rai is there.
Yes.
Followed by Rita Chaudhary.
Okay, ma'am. So maybe
good evening.
Okay, proceed, ma'am, with your question to our counselors.
Good evening, everyone. This is Sindar Kaur from Kampanadu Public School. So actually, I just wanted to know, after the COVID, when the students came in and now we are observing, there is a difference in the behavior. Those who have grown up, means those who were earlier, they were in the 6th, now they're in the higher classes. And some students, those who were at that time, they might be in 7th or 8th, and now they are in the higher classes. So the difference is some have become very, restrictive, means they are just hiding themselves, that means they are grown or so. And some students, those who are in the higher classes, they are still behaving like as they were the 2 years back. So that difference, that sometimes it's, I hope you understood what I am asking, that the behavioral changes. So sometimes that's a restriction and the students are not able to, express what they are feeling. They're hiding their things. and some are still like small kids, and they are, although they are in a grade 10, so they are just behaving like the little ones 2 years back what they were. So how to handle this means how we can help them out. Those who are behaving like the kids, it's okay, means we can say that they are enjoying their childhood. But the students, those who are in the grade 6 or 7, so much changes that is there in their body biologically and all, so they are not able to cope up with the things, means they are not able to I would say behave friendly with the, means they could not open up with their friends and the way they should be. So how could, as a teachers, we could help them? Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, do you have these counseling sessions or workshops in school?
Ma'am, yes, we have the counselors, but taking the whole class to the counselor is not a,
No, that's not possible. But in the form of workshops or something like that, where
yes,
the child is oriented, as you said, children are of class 6 and 7,
so
they
like,
have their biological changes as well. So
yeah,
where they are oriented to these changes.
yeah, few of them, not everyone, but few of them, means we feel like they're little bit means they just don't want to discuss, they don't want to, means they do not want to play with others. So such things which are coming, and there's one or the other time we observe these things. So how could, as a teacher, we could help them out?
Often, as teachers, I can tell you कि, in classes like biology classes, it's easier to speak about topics like this, where the child realizes that it's not only them that they are going through certain changes in their body, but everyone in their age group. And it's but common. So if such topics come up and you can through a discussion with the children, where you as a biology teacher explain the changes that are normally seen, that occurs, and then the child is allowed to speak. That means it's an open discussion with the whole class. Then often you will find that children come up with their problems, because as soon as they realize that they are not the only one going through something, they become more comfortable to handle such issues. So that can be one way of seeing it.
What I would also like to add to what Syamoshree ma'am had to say is that it's very important to have a dialogue with all these children. Suppose you have 20 kids and 5 of them are facing the problems, and 9 out of 10 times you will see that these 5 will not speak up. So, as ma'am rightly pointed out, have an open dialogue with them and encourage them to speak up. Perhaps the 5 who are facing the problem will not speak up, but when they will see their friends talking about it, and if they notice their friends suggesting solutions, and if they see that there are other people in the group who are going through the same things, they will feel a lot easier. They will not identify themselves as the only people going through those problems. Adolescent phase is known as the storm and stress period. This is the time where they go through identity crisis and what to do in life, and a whole lot of changes follow. What I'd suggest is that biology class is an amazing place to talk about these topics. But if there are other topics where you feel that the child needs to express, you might want to step out of the class and have a separate session, maybe groups of 10. And it can happen for and this is something we've seen when we've done it in schools, that it really benefits, where they have a space to talk. Because a lot of times we will not get solutions to problems. But if we get an opportunity to acknowledge the pain we go through, if we get an opportunity to express, if we know that other people are also going, we feel like we are not alone in the boat. There are other people with whom we can at least discuss, because sharing helps. As simple as that.
One very important thing is often children are scared of certain teachers, and they do not want to open up to them. But if it could have, if I'm sure they have their favorite teachers as well. If they have that assurance they are not being misunderstood, then perhaps it would be very easy. So an open discussion with the whole class would benefit the others also.
And perhaps keeping it outside class would also help. For example, if you're talking specifically about menstruation, then definitely it can be addressed in a biology class. But if it's about other emotional concerns as well, I feel like a psychologist or a counselor who's not teaching the child will really help. And it will help to keep the boundaries at the right place. And if the psychologist sort of helps the students out and helps them express, then they can also be a bridge between the teachers and the students, and that can also help to navigate things and coordinate things, and the teachers will also know how to handle or deal them in class. Because a child might feel that, oh, I've overexpressed today with my teacher, what do I do now? I have to go and attend her class. But if it's a psychologist, then it won't be a problem, because you have a separate relationship with the psychologist, and it doesn't get hampered when you're doing it with the teacher. Did that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Nirmala, I'm taking over now. There's actually nobody around who has put the raised the hand. But Kalyani, I'm so happy you are here with us. Would you like to shoot a question, please?
Ma'am, there is a question in the chat from Sunanda, ma'am.
At the last,
Sunanda?
give me a chance, ma'am. I'll talk in the end. Thank you.
Okay, all right, Kalyani. So, Sunanda, can you please unmute yourself and ask the question?
Thank you so much, Satvinda ma'am, for asking that.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
I was just like thinking about, then I've written the question, like what I find like that now each school needs to modify the timetable, no? Because we always talk about, we need to bridge the gap, after like when we are back to, after COVID, there's a lot of gap, everybody talks about that. And what about the gap there? Like I was listening to these two, ladies, no? Thank you so much for joining. And we need to think about that emotional, gap as well. We are only talking about academics. So I just wanted your, thought about that. Your, what do you think about it? And one more question was there, like parents.
Could you reframe the last part of your question? We could not hear you properly.
Yeah, I just wanted to know your, thought about it. Like schools need to modify their timetables, by providing quality time for different kinds of, reflections or social emotional learning sessions, rather than focusing mostly on academics or covering the syllabus, talking about the gap that was actually created, during the COVID and then post-COVID. Everybody talks about like someone is not able to write, someone is not able to, express, someone is unable to write, writing skills are, not good, and so many, complaints teachers have. So what do you think about it? I just wanted to know your...
Ma'am, that's very thoughtful of you, actually, that you thought it in a different way. It is so true that it was most important to deal with children's social and emotional skills first, before jumping into the academics and the curriculum. But we have failed to do that. And that is why all the more we are finding so much of problems from children, from teenagers, as well as adults. So it was very thoughtful that you thought it in a different line.
I would like to add to what ma'am had to say is that it's really important that we focus on their emotional and social skills, because I've seen a lot of parents, a lot of institutions or schools cancel their annual programs, Christmas fete, and a lot of other things. And rehearsals, choir, performing together, these are some certain things that they really enjoyed. It kept them happy. It kept them emotionally well. They were social. And suddenly we've decided to stop them because 2 years they missed out a lot, and 2 years in the rest of the semester or session, the teachers need to fill up everything that they could not teach during the pandemic. I know it's very important to finish the syllabus, but it's also very important that we keep all those fun and enjoyable things still alive for them, because when we shorten the art classes, we forget that when we are drawing, it helps us in concentration and in attention, which in turn helps us to study. But what we are doing is that we are shortening those classes, and then we are wondering if we could increase the study time, but that doesn't help. If we increase those times as well, if perhaps not increase, keep those classes as well, we will eventually know that that is also helping in our studies. When I used to return from my dance classes, that adrenaline rush, those happy hormones would also help me to gulp, say 7 pages in 2 hours. So it's very important that we keep things, I don't know if I could use this word normal, or like things used to be. And let's not cut short the time they used to enjoy as children, because that's more important.
Yes, school is not just academic. School is a lot more to children. So perhaps we have forgotten that, and you rightly pointed it out.
So thank you so much for that wonderful answer. No blowing trumpets, but I would like to share what we did in our school post-pandemic. We had class show for every class. All parents were invited. We talked about academic loss and behavior loss. Every child participated in those class shows, and we told the parents, you must come and see how they have done it. Children had not spoken, they had not acted, they did not sing during those 2 years. So this was the time when they did everything. We increased our sports period. We had an annual function where every child, it was the whole school approach. So every child participates in the annual function and the sports meet, whether pandemic or no pandemic. But this time, the cherry or the icing on the cake was that every child could participate in 2 or more events, and we kept a gap. So it was a privilege for them. I am going on the stage for 2 times, 3 times. We would have a song or 2, but this time we had at least 5 group songs where all children who wanted, the whole class was singing. And they just loved it. They turned mad. For the sports event also, we had every child coming in participating in the sports, more number of events than we had earlier. Intra-class and inter-class were more, inter-house were more, and we gave more trophies and more medals during this particular sports meet. We did have counseling session where the bodily changes the counselor did take, the 9th and the 10th, about the periods and other development of the body. We did go for that. It was always cheer up and pat on the back on the educators so that they could really stand up, because in this while, all the while, we are focusing on the children, and this team of educators who were the iron lady and the iron gentleman, somehow they needed a support, and it was always a quick 10 minutes corridor meeting or a 10 minutes lawn meeting or something where we would talk and we'd take care. Academically, when it came, we had this, we used technology. AI was used in a big way when we had this reading progress also being used, where they would read and record. So how they were reading and recording all the languages and worksheets, all that was shown to the parents, and the parents were happy people that we were working on it. Like every school, we had n number of issues when it came to 9 to 12. They forgot how they walked in the school. They were calling each other by oi, oi, and all that stuff. We were taken aback. We still felt it has to be just the same. It wasn't the same. But then my dear son and my sweetheart went all around in the school, and we could, by now, up to some extent, we could have them as they were. Not 100%, but they're back. And what worked was just love. No firmness, nothing, a pat here, a shake hand there. My sweetheart and my beloved students, only that worked. Lots of talks, that worked in our school. So the whole school, we started for the whole school this road to recovery, but we had so many friends joining us, and it's all because of them that we have come to this level and this number of participants. And my heart goes out when I thank Swati for bringing two of you here. Thank you, Swati, for being such a wonderful woman, educator, a leader, education hero. She's a great teacher. Nirmala, Ayappa sir, all of them are very, very good. I think the Kalyani did raise a hand. Kalyani, would you like to say something? And yeah, please go ahead, Kalyani.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Such a lovely session. I really like the psychology, actually the theory, and the dear guests are really amazing. They have every answer that is there, the stored in the mind, and I'm really enjoying the questions shooting by everyone here. I have a question. It's not like a question type, no, related to a mind psychology of a parent, because it's a live. There is a live case study which I'm observed recently in the students, coming to 10th and 11th, because a lot of suicides are going on, depend upon the pressure by the parents. They are suggesting some particular platform to go through that, but the child is not able to do that. So why there is any solution? How can a parent can identify what is the actual intention, what is the study of the interest of the for the future of the student? Is there any connectivity between the school and the parent? The school can help the parents to identify the actual future studies in the ground level of the school side. After they reach out to the school, there is no scope. They have to do this particular study, but students' interests are something different. Now the artificial intelligence, aeronautical, so many things are there. So students are insisting to go there, but most of the parents in our side and south part, they says you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer. It's must and should, so that the parent want to fly back to abroad along with the students. This is the trend. This is the trend happens in my place. So this is the real case study which I want to ask you. Is there any kind of solution parents can identify their child? What is their actual intention to go for further studies? Right from 8th and 9th grade onwards, they can identify these needs. Sorry to say this, but it's a real
career,
thing. Yes.
I totally understand. Career counseling is the option.
Yes.
The correct option is career counseling, where the child's personality profile, his or her interests, the creativity level of the child, and the aptitude of the child is tested. And thereby, a profile is made which helps to identify what the child is good at, what his interests are, and what might be beneficial for the child if he takes it up his or her future. So that's perhaps the
only way to go.
Yes.
Yeah. And they might be good at something, but that may not make them happy. So there has to be a different career path for them as well.
Yes.
So all that needs to come together. And I think when we talk about career counseling, it takes into consideration a number of things.
So that's about it. Ma'am, I'll come back to you on this topic. Later on to you, I'll have a talk with you. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank
Welcome.
Thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, darling Kalyani. So before we call it a day, I would like Usha ji. She is the senior most member in our group. Usha ji, a young woman, 85 plus. She's a teacher by profession. And the senior most amongst us. Usha ji, aapko kaisa laga hai? Boliye. She has been a beauty queen of Shimla also.
1 minute.
Okay.
Now I can hear you. I'd like to share one thing. When we first met, I remember one remark of yours. I cannot forget it. When I entered the school, my heart cries. My children say, oi, oi, oi. They talk in that language which we have never heard. That wild language. And she was so stressed.